In a world where fame comes with a hidden price, one person decided to fight back, not with words, but with innovation. While millions of fans celebrate their favorite stars on social media, behind the screens lies a darker reality. A reality where cruelty is typed in seconds and emotional scars can last a lifetime. This is the story of a brother's love. A story about protection, sacrifice, and the extraordinary lengths one person will go to shield someone they care about from the storms of public life. It's the story of a young man who watched his sibling rise to global stardom and then witnessed the cost of that fame firsthand. What do you do when the person you love most is being hurt and you feel powerless to stop it? For one individual, the answer wasn't to sit back and hope things would change. It was to build something that could. This is the untold story of family, technology, and the fight against one of the internet's most toxic forces, the shadow of stardom. To understand this story, we first need to understand what it means to grow up alongside someone destined for the spotlight. Imagine being a child in a household where one sibling possessed a rare combination of talent, charisma, and beauty that seemed almost unreal. Where even as a young person, they turned heads wherever they went. Where their dreams weren't just hopeful wishes, they felt inevitable. For many siblings of celebrities, life becomes a study in contrasts. While one name appears on billboards and magazine covers, the other lives a quieter existence, watching from the sidelines as the world falls in love with someone they've known their entire life. There's pride, certainly, an overwhelming sense of admiration. But there's also something else, a protective instinct that grows stronger with every flash of a camera, every screaming crowd, every moment their sibling is pulled further into a world that demands perfection. Growing up in South Korea, where the entertainment industry operates like a finely tuned machine, the path to stardom is grueling. Training can begin in childhood, lasting years before a debut ever happens. The discipline required is extraordinary. The sacrifices, immense. But what happens after the debut? What happens when the dream comes true, and suddenly, the entire world has an opinion about someone you love? For this particular family, that moment arrived when one brother stepped into the global spotlight as part of one of K-pop's most successful groups. His face became recognizable across continents. His talent undeniable. His charm magnetic. But with that recognition came something unexpected. Something that would change the course of both their lives. The rise and the cost. Success in the entertainment industry doesn't arrive quietly. It crashes into your life like a tidal wave, bringing opportunity, attention, and pressure in equal measure. For K-pop idols, the level of scrutiny is unlike almost anything else in entertainment. Fans don't just follow their music, they follow every aspect of their lives. What they wear, what they eat, who they spend time with, how they style their hair. Every choice is analyzed, discussed, celebrated, or criticized. The dedication of fans can be beautiful. The way communities form around shared love for an artist, the support they provide, the joy they bring to each other's lives. It's one of the most powerful aspects of modern fandom. But there's a darker side to that intensity. Social media has given everyone a voice. And while that democratization has brought countless positive changes, it's also created spaces where cruelty can flourish without consequence. For public figures, especially those in K-pop, the volume of online commentary can be overwhelming. Millions of messages, comments, posts, and reactions pour in daily. Most are positive. Many are neutral. But some, too many, are venomous. Hateful words typed by strangers who will never meet the person they're attacking. Comments that pick apart appearances, talents, personalities. Messages that cross every line of human decency. And it's relentless. Studies have shown that public figures, especially in South Korea's entertainment industry, face extraordinary rates of online harassment. The pressure to maintain a perfect image, combined with the constant barrage of negativity, creates a mental health crisis that often remains hidden from public view. For one young idol rising to international fame, these attacks became part of daily life. No matter how many people loved and supported him, the cruel voices somehow felt louder. And someone was watching all of this unfold. someone who had grown up beside him, who knew him not as a celebrity, but as a brother. Someone who could see the toll it was taking. A brother's perspective. There's a unique pain in watching someone you love suffer when you cannot physically shield them from harm. Imagine sitting across from your sibling at a family dinner, seeing the exhaustion in their eyes, knowing that somewhere online, at that very moment, cruel words are being written about them. Knowing they might read those words later, alone in their apartment after a long day of rehearsals and performances. For the younger brother of a global star, this became an unbearable reality. He had chosen a different path. While his sibling pursued entertainment, he gravitated toward technology and innovation. He was analytical, problem-solving, drawn to the logical structure of computer science and artificial intelligence. Two different worlds, two different passions. But both brothers shared something fundamental, a deep bond that transcended career choices or public attention. As the hate comments multiplied, as the online harassment intensified, the younger brother found himself asking a question that would change everything. What if technology could help? What if there was a way to filter out the toxicity before it reached the people being targeted? What if artificial intelligence, the field he had been studying and working in, could be applied to this very human problem? The idea didn't come from a place of cold calculation. It came from love. From the desperate desire to protect someone who had already given so much to their craft, to their fans, to the world. And so, quietly, away from the spotlight that followed his sibling, he began to work. Building a solution. Creating technology that can understand human language is extraordinarily complex. Words aren't just data points. They carry context, emotion, cultural nuance, and layers of meaning that shift depending on how they're used. Teaching a machine to recognize hate speech, to distinguish between constructive criticism and malicious attacks, to understand sarcasm, slang, and coded language, it's one of the most challenging problems in artificial intelligence. But it was a challenge worth taking on. The younger brother immersed himself in the project. He studied natural language processing, machine learning algorithms, sentiment analysis. He researched existing content moderation systems, identifying their weaknesses and gaps. Most importantly, he understood the specific context of his work. He wasn't building a generic filter. He was creating something designed for the unique environment of social media surrounding public figures, particularly in the K-pop industry. The goal was clear: develop an AI tool that could scan comments, identify harmful content, and either filter it out or flag it for review before it reached the person being targeted. But the work was difficult. Hate takes many forms. Sometimes it's obvious, slurs, threats, explicit attacks. But often it's more subtle, disguised as concern, hidden in seemingly innocent questions, wrapped in humor that isn't actually funny. The AI needed to be sophisticated enough to catch these variations while avoiding false positives that might filter out legitimate, supportive messages. Months passed. Lines of code were written, tested, revised. Models were trained on datasets, their accuracy measured, and improved. Failures led to adjustments. Small successes fueled continued effort. And gradually, something remarkable took shape. A tool that could stand between cruelty and its target. A digital shield powered by artificial intelligence, born from a brother's determination to protect the human behind the code. It would be easy to tell this story purely as a tale of technological innovation, to focus only on the algorithms, the development process, the technical achievements. But that would miss the heart of what makes this meaningful. Every line of code written was motivated by something deeply personal. Every test run, every debugging session, every moment of frustration overcome, it all traced back to a fundamental human emotion, the desire to protect someone you love. The younger brother could have pursued countless other projects. Artificial intelligence is one of the most in-demand fields in the world. Opportunities abound. The skills required to build sophisticated AI systems are highly valued across industries. But he chose this. He chose to dedicate his time, his expertise, his creative energy to solving a problem that directly affected his sibling and countless others like him. There's something profoundly moving about that choice. In a world that often celebrates individual achievement and personal advancement, Here was someone using their talents not for self-promotion, but for protection. Not for fame, but for family. And the impact extended far beyond one person. As word of the project began to spread within certain circles, others in the entertainment industry took notice. Managers, agencies, even other public figures began expressing interest. The problem the younger brother was trying to solve wasn't unique to one celebrity, it was systemic. Online harassment affects actors, musicians, athletes, influencers, and public figures across every field. The mental health consequences are well documented. The need for better protection is urgent. What started as a personal mission was evolving into something with the potential to help many. The broader battle. To understand the significance of this work, we need to look at the larger context of online harassment and its devastating effects. Social media platforms have struggled for years to address toxic behavior. Moderation systems exist, but they're often overwhelmed by the sheer volume of content. Automated filters can be crude, missing context or nuance. Human moderators face impossible workloads and exposure to traumatic content. For public figures, the problem is magnified. The number of comments, messages, and mentions they receive daily can reach into the thousands or even millions. Even if a small percentage are negative, that can still translate to hundreds of hateful messages. And the psychological impact is severe. Research has documented links between online harassment and anxiety, depression, sleep disorders, and in the most tragic cases, suicide. Several high-profile deaths in South Korea's entertainment industry have been directly connected to cyberbullying, sparking national conversations about the need for change. Laws have been proposed. Platforms have updated policies. Public awareness campaigns have been launched. But the cruelty continues. That's why technological solutions like the one being developed by this determined younger brother matter so much. They represent a different approach. Proactive protection rather than reactive punishment. Instead of waiting for someone to be hurt and then trying to address the damage, what if we could prevent the harm from reaching them in the first place? It's not a complete solution. No single tool can solve a problem as complex as online harassment. Cultural change is needed. Education is essential. Platform accountability remains crucial. But it's a meaningful piece of the puzzle. And it represents something else too. Evidence that individuals can make a difference. That one person, motivated by love and armed with skills, can create something that matters. Family as foundation. Throughout this journey, one element has remained constant: the bond between two brothers. In many ways, their story reflects a timeless dynamic. The protective instinct that drives siblings to defend each other, to support each other, to show up in whatever ways they can. One brother faces the world on stage, channeling years of training and natural talent into performances that move millions. The other works behind the scenes, applying his own expertise to create protection in an increasingly digital landscape. Different roles, different arenas, same fundamental commitment to each other. Family relationships can be complicated. Siblings can experience rivalry, jealousy, distance. But they can also experience profound connection, the kind that comes from growing up together, from shared history, from knowing each other in ways no one else can. This story is a testament to that kind of connection. It's a reminder that behind every public figure is a network of people who knew them before the fame, who remember who they were as children, who love them not for what they've achieved, but simply for who they are. And sometimes, those people use their own gifts to offer protection in ways the public might never see. Looking forward, as artificial intelligence continues to evolve, its applications in content moderation and online safety will undoubtedly expand. The tool developed by this innovative younger brother represents just one example of how technology can be leveraged for protection rather than harm. It's a hopeful story in a space often dominated by concerns about AI's potential dangers. Will it eliminate online harassment entirely? No. That would require changes far beyond technology, shifts in culture, education, empathy, and accountability. But it can help. It can create breathing room. It can filter out some of the poison before it reaches vulnerable targets. And perhaps most importantly, it serves as inspiration for others who possess technical skills and creative vision. It demonstrates that innovation doesn't always have to be about disruption, profit, or flashy applications. Sometimes the most meaningful innovations are the ones born from love. The ones that ask, how can I use what I know to help someone I care about? This is the story of two brothers. One who stepped into the spotlight, sharing his talents with the world despite the immense pressure and scrutiny that came with it. And one who stayed in the background, using his own skills to build a shield against the cruelty that spotlight attracted. It's a story about the cost of fame in the digital age, about the mental health crisis facing public figures, about the responsibility we all share to create kinder online spaces. But most of all, it's a story about love. The kind of love that says, I see you hurting, and I'm going to do something about it. The kind of love that transforms technical expertise into protection. The kind of love that reminds us that behind every headline, every celebrity, every public figure, there are real human beings with families who care deeply about their well-being. In a world that can sometimes feel overwhelmingly negative, where cruelty seems to spread faster than kindness, stories like this offer something essential: hope. A hope that individuals can make a difference. Hope that technology can be wielded for good. Hope that love is powerful enough to inspire real change. And hope that somewhere, right now, someone else is asking themselves the same question: what can I do to protect the people I love? The answer might just change everything.